Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Justin the Food Entrepreneurs. I'm Justin Bizzarro. I'm your host. That's Bizzarro. For anyone who's out there, you can find us on Instagram at Justin the Food Entrepreneurs or at Justin Bizzarro. You can also find us on Gorilla Brave. That is our community, and that is where you can find us. You can also find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, any of our shows. So with that being said, I have Anthony with us from Gentili's Pizza and Steaks. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Justin. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So Anthony, let's just dive right into it. I know we don't have a lot of time today, so I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear all the way from little Anthony to big Anthony and sort of how you became a food entrepreneur, specifically in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, and sort of how your business has got started and where it is today. So let's tell the whole story.
That's a lot. Okay, so I started out in the business world as a financial services professional. I did investment and estate planning. One of my clients, after a couple of years, convinced me to go in business with him. He had a really nice restaurant / pizzeria out in the Philadelphia, next to the news channels in Philadelphia on City Avenue. And I went into business with him. I should say I learned the business for about a year and a half, working on the register, doing prep and understanding everything about it. And then we opened a business out in the main line, a restaurant, pizzeria. We sold more pasta probably than we did pizza. That relationship ended after a couple of years, and then I went in business to develop a chain in the Philadelphia area called Tony Roney's, where I opened up 10 stores, had some franchisees, and then corporate-owned stores. And I've been doing it for about 30 years now. And about 3 years ago, I sold my business to my business partner. At the time, we were getting ready to sell it to a group that wanted to buy it. And my business partner wanted to buy it at the end, so he bought it from me, my percentage. And I kind of semi-retired and did business coaching, helping entrepreneurs in the food space, restaurateurs, pizzeria owners, catering professionals. And I had some fun, but I just had something, felt like something was missing and I wasn't finished yet. And then last year in October, I founded and started Gentili's Pizza and Steaks out in Exton, because I wanted to come back and have one of the best pizza and cheesesteaks that you can buy in the Philadelphia area or any area. And we've been doing spectacular, and that's where I'm at right now.
It's a little bit bold, right? I mean, you're talking about cheesesteaks and pizza. I mean, New York City, maybe everyone thinks of pizza there, but I beg to differ, being from the Philadelphia area, that there's not anything like the pizza in Philadelphia either. And so you're talking about two, what I would call highly competitive things in Philadelphia. It's also what Philadelphia is known for, but pizza and cheesesteaks are two highly, should I say, competitive food groups. So, I mean, you're literally going right after those two areas, and then you're saying you're trying to serve the best ones. Talk to me a little bit about that, designing that menu, building a restaurant, and then going right into the space that's probably the most competitive in Philadelphia.
Well, it's funny you say that, because if you see me sitting there watching my son's basketball games, I feel like sometimes I want to just jump in and play. And I have so much competition in my blood. I am very competitive. I always want to be the best. And the reason I got back into the business is to be the best. I didn't come in to make a pizza or make a cheesesteak. I came in to make the best. And my legacy is going to be that I don't think I'll be the best, because you eat pizza, I eat pizza, everyone eats pizza. Okay. Someone likes it thick. Someone likes it floppy. Someone likes it cheesy. Others like it crispy, thin, right? So what I always say is I'm making the best pizza that I can possibly make for my customers, that I think is the best pizza they're going to enjoy and love, and the cheesesteaks. And yeah, I'm in the Philadelphia area. I'm born and raised in Philly. I've been doing it for a long time. And in my past life, when I had my other pizzerias, I didn't have the best pizza. I didn't have the best cheesesteaks. I grew a small local franchise chain, and I was proud of it. We had great products, but we didn't have the products and the equipment available to us that we do today. And I did a lot of research before I got back in to see what it takes to become one of the best. And I have this little pizzeria out in Exton, and we are doing really, really well. Like, I'm triple the sales of an average store that I used to do in 1 year, without advertising, without delivering, and the product speaks for itself. So competition is what I'm all about. Being the best is what I'm all about, and I'm going to keep on striving to keep getting better and better, And it's, it's all about the food. It really is.
Yeah, I want to talk to a little bit about this and you in general. One, I think anyone that's on Instagram, you need to go to Gentile's Pizza and Steaks online. I think one of the things that I enjoy most about you, Anthony, as an entrepreneur, what I've seen, the energy, is your adaptability. No matter what it is, your ability to adapt to business trends, social media, understand what it takes to build a business. Now understanding that if you're going to do it again, there is legacy involved. There is building a better product now. There is a lot more to it. And for me, and I don't know about you, I wish I would have realized that longer ago when I first started in the food business, instead of just trying to get food out the door. But let's talk a little bit about this transition in life, the focus on legacy, your childhood, maybe your parents, like what did they ingrain into you? Maybe they didn't ingrain anything. Maybe it was you, but I'm just curious because there's this ingrainment, I think, that is common on the East Coast, particularly about legacy and building businesses. And does the rest of the country feel that way? Yes, but it's particularly solid in the New York, DC, New Jersey area for some reason. I want to talk about that because it's something you mentioned, the legacy, the being the best, and your legacy work ethic. And I think it starts from your childhood, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, work ethic, I don't know. I just always been a crazy, like, I love working. I love working now, I should say. Before, when I had all of my pizzerias, I did love it, but I also had a lot of people issues because I grew too fast at one point, and it wasn't about the food as much as it was about solving problems. And as you know, there's a lot of problems in the food business. So now my focus primarily is on the food. And look, I preach and I teach, and now I do it. So everything in our business, and this is for professionals in our business, you have to build a culture. And if you don't start with a culture and then bring the right people into that culture and then create systems for that culture to survive and thrive, then you're not going to have a successful business. And that's what it's all about. Because when I say culture, like, you have to have people that believe in what you do. So if you're telling them to wipe tables, you're not wiping tables down because you're wiping tables down. You're wiping tables down because you provide an environment that's clean and like spotless. So if you come in my restaurants, the glass, the tables, the counters, everything is like I opened the store. The bathrooms, because I have a culture of, the customers are like close friends and the food is the best every time. So the legacy, the work ethic I have is that, I always want to be the best, and I don't want one complaint. I don't want a person come into my store and not loving the food or loving the service. If you walk into my store, you'll see as soon as you walk in a picture of my mom making a pizza, talking about my roots. Like, she was happy when she had my family together making food around the table. And that's why, it took me a long time, but that's where I realized I got it from, is that, I was happy making people happy, right? So I followed in her footsteps. She wasn't in the business, but when we had holidays or we had people in from out of town or family, when they were eating at my table, she was happy. And if you were invited to her house, it was always come and eat. And that's the slogan of my restaurant, come and eat, because she always wanted to make you happy with the food that she put on the table and everybody gathered around.
Let's talk about the drive to be the best. I think that's obviously the goal. We should have that goal in life. We should drive to be the best. I think that's important. And so you set a level of standard with food, but now you've got to recruit your team. Now you've got to get your employees. You've got to get everyone else. You talked about the culture a little bit and building it. So that's the starting point, I would say, how you're going to build. You have to have a conception of it a little bit and then recruit for it. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So when I started, before I even opened up my stores, and I had this with Tony Roney's too, the franchise company that I had, I just didn't push it enough as I do today. Before I opened my store, I recruited the right people. I would talk to them, interview with them, tell them what I'm doing. Some of them were from my past. Others, they were new coming in for a job. And I really looked at the person more than I looked at needing to hire somebody. I looked and had conversations with them, saw what kind of people they are, asked them a lot of questions, asked them about their family. And then I already had a mission statement and I had all my guiding values and principles written down. And I shared that with them. And I saw that if it resonated with them and they were excited about that, then it's somebody I wanted to hire. And that was with everybody. That was my manager, my cooks, my pizza guys, counter people. And then sometimes you make a mistake and you hire the wrong person, but then you clear them out, right? Like you don't train somebody that just doesn't get it, doesn't have the energy and the attitude to help you be the best, whether they're in prep or whether they're making pizza, or again, whether they're a manager or both. You have to have people that believe in your culture, and everyone works together. And that's the biggest thing, is having that team, right? Because the biggest part, I should say the hardest part, is the personalities in our business. And if the personalities are not getting along and they're not working together, then how are you going to, if you're not working together, how are you going to provide great products, right? Because it takes more than one person. It takes more than the person on the phone or in the kitchen. It takes everyone as a team. And it all starts, again, with the culture and everyone believing in that and providing the best, not just throwing a steak on the grill and cooking it and drying it out and, taking it off when it's ready. But no, here's the processes that we do and how we do it. And everybody believing in that. And that's how you strive to be the best, with everybody involved.
Yeah, I agree with this. Let's continue this into ingredient sourcing, building relationships with vendors. You obviously have industry years of experience of doing it, but you're looking at it a little bit differently, because having the best pizza and the best steaks requires better ingredients, right? So let's talk about that switch in your mindset. How do you now build your menu differently, stuff like that, because you're setting a standard? So sort of what are the steps of building that standard for you and the transition there in terms of sourcing ingredients and stuff?
Yeah. So when I did it, I built my menu, and what I wanted to focus on, which I keep talking about, is pizza and sandwiches, cheesesteaks, and then, cutlets, etc. So when I did it, I really streamlined my menu. I focused on those two things, and I created a menu that was creative enough that is appealing to customers who wanted different types of pizza, and then having, variety of sandwiches that will have, like, cheesesteaks, and we had veggie sandwiches on there. Obviously, cheesesteaks sell, quadruple or more than any other sandwich on the menu. So just focus on how I can create that and make it the best. I brought a consultant in, actually, and believe me, I didn't know what I didn't know, but 30 years in the business, I thought I knew a lot about dough, but I didn't know shit until you bring a consultant that teaches you everything about the flours and proteins and fermentation and time. And I learned everything I can about making this crust to be amazing crust. And then, I would sit in my store as we're doing construction and learning, what rolls are the best rolls in the business and the cheeses to use and the amount. So I put all that together before I opened the store. I would test different lunch meats. So as you say, sourcing, I was sourcing to be the best. I wasn't sourcing for price, but I was sourcing to be the best in having the best pizza and sandwiches that I could provide to my customer.
Yeah, I want to just anchor this as well, since we've said it, and I did tee up the question to anchor this. Since I have been paying attention to Anthony, I do pay attention to what he does on Instagram, and any of the entrepreneurs that come on the show know that from the conversations that I obviously do my research, I pay attention to what they're doing, and then I pick up on their energy. That's an important part for me. Like, there's the important part of that reaching out point where I feel the energy, and then I can build my questions. One of the things I want to talk about right here for everyone is the energy that's changed in Anthony and his business. And we're talking about culture, which is an energy we emit out of ourselves and out of our businesses. Okay. It's not just an idea. It's not just a human construct. It is an energy that comes out of us. Okay. So in order to do that, in order to truly have that energy, it has to be in every part of our business that we're becoming the best in order to do what we're talking about here. That means a level of standard. That means holding that level of standard. That means things that we were tolerant of before, we are no longer tolerant of in our businesses. And so if we're making these transitions like we're talking about here, that's a very important part. I like the part about the consultant. I think it's always important to ask for advice. I find it interesting that the cheesesteaks, I mean, I always know Philadelphia cheesesteaks, but it just kind of bends my mind how individuals eat so many of them. But it is something that I think about every time I'm on the East Coast, for sure. So I like that. So let's talk about the culture itself. Let's talk about ambiance. Let's talk about the style of pizza that you're pointed at, some of that stuff, like how does this all come together now? All these pieces into the execution that you have today. So there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of new ideas, a lot of new inventory, a lot of skills. Now you're recruiting a higher level of employee also. How do you get everything together, build the store, recruit this team, and launch this new, better concept?
Number one, it's a vision, right? You have to have a vision of what you want to do, and then you have to execute on that vision. So my vision was, again, I keep saying it, I want to have, and I do. I have like, and even when I opened, I remember going out to a friend of mine. He has Cafe Carmela in Philly, and he's noted to have one of the best pizzas in the Philadelphia area. So I went to his place, and I loved his pizza, right? I didn't think his crust was as good as mine, but something about the sauce and the cheese, and he used the same cheese, but the way it came together, I thought was a better flavor than mine. So I went back to my store and I tweaked my recipe a little bit to make it even better. So it's always, this is ongoing, right? So this is like, you don't open a business and you're great and your pizza's great, and then you're there. You got to stay on top of it. You got to have people that, when they're making pizza, it's got to come out of the oven. It's exactly like the way it's got to cook. It's got to cook the right way, not too dark and not light, so it's crispy enough. But when you say recruit people, the recruiting process, you can have the best person in the world that is the most talented cook, but if they're not doing it the way you envision it, like having that pizza or sandwich up a certain way, then it doesn't matter, right? So you have to train them over and over and reinforce how you want your product to come out. So it starts with a vision, and obviously it's the products and the ingredients that you're using, right? And I do videos a lot. If you saw my video on pizza before I did it, and people always wonder what makes a great pizza. And this is, I feel like I'm doing it again, but what makes a great pizza? Everyone says the dough, the sauce, the cheese.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
know.
bullshit. It's not either. It's all of it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have great dough. You have to have a great sauce that, like, some people like sweet sauce, right? I don't make it sweet, but I don't want it to be bitter. I want it to have a good balanced flavor so it complements the dough and the cheese. And then I believe in a creamy cheese that gives a lot of butter fat flavor to it, so it makes the cheese feel like it's a pizza, like not dried out. So putting those three together, and then it's the mountains that you put on, right? So I put too much cheese, it's a slop. If I put too much sauce, it's sloppy. If I put too little sauce, it's too dry. And then the temperatures of the oven, and then how we make it. So there are all these practices that we do that people don't realize it. That's what makes a great pizza, right? And the same thing with the cheesesteak. It's, the amount of meat. How thick is the steak, the ribeye that you're using? How much steak are you using? How fresh is your roll? Do you toast a roll? You're using Cooper Sharp or using some bullshit process? So all these little things that go in it, you got to be obsessed about this. You don't just hire people. So my whole thing was just like, man, I'm on top of it. When I opened that store, maybe I'm talking a lot here, but
that's your show. You're supposed to do all the talking.
Yeah.
So
I worked for 45 days straight. My guys looked at me and said, Jesus Christ, you got to take a day off. You're going to have a heart attack. But I just wanted every single product right. And even to this day, if somebody, and I have a lot of customers, man, we sell thousands of cheesesteaks a week and pizzas. And if I have one customer that is upset because they got something wrong or it was cold, I get back to them and I bring them in. I want to give them a free pizza and I apologize, because I want them to have a good experience. It doesn't matter how many are happy. It's making sure that they're all happy. They all get the food the best every time. And that's what I want.
Yeah, it's a totally different, oh gosh, I don't even know how to explain the work ethic that if you truly, I don't know, the Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, that work ethic that's instilled in you as just from a young age and then throughout life, it's almost like a blue collar work ethic, like seriously, but it is 7 days a week and 45 days in a row to get a job done over something that we want done is just instilled in us. I culturally, maybe it's an Italian thing for me, but it's what I knew. And legacy, the word legacy was something that I was aware of at a very young age and what my family had gone through to give me the opportunities that they had. So there's tons of ways to anchor it, motivation, but the obsession part is also the key. You need to find something that you truly are passionate about, and it does have to be in every aspect of your business. So that thing, that obsession is in every part. In our business, it was delivering everything on time all the time. We never missed one delivery in 24 years. We never were late for delivery in 24 years. Hurricanes, storms, no matter what, hospitals, long-term care systems, no matter what we did, restaurants, Walmarts, Sam's Clubs, we hit the delivery dates. That is how we built our business. And that became the obsession of every part of the business. And then because of that, we were able to have freshness in our products like no one else, because we were able to lower our rates, because we were able to get directly from the farms, because our volumes, and we had become so obsessed with doing everything just in time and not carrying inventory. Literally, the products would come into our kitchen today, be produced into food today, out our doors tonight for lunch, dinner, breakfast the following day. And that's what I'm talking about here. It's one of the reasons I wanted to bring Anthony on here, is I can feel that desire to be the best and contribute in this way in what he's doing. So Anthony, we're going to focus on legacy right now. I want you to talk about it, family, business, why now, why this business, why is this business the vehicle to do it? Let's just talk about that, because I think they're all very important.
Well, when I told you I had Tony Roney's, which is when I sold it was a 10-store chain franchise and corporate owned. Like when I say corporate owned, we owned some of them as well, 3 of them. And I needed to get out at that point, and I didn't know why, but it was more about like lifestyle and what I thought was out there. And I love helping people. I love making people happy, right? So I when I got out, I was looking at coaching, and I enjoyed it. Like I do. I thought, like, I have great friends from the coaching business, and I actually got into coaching some entrepreneurs that are not even in the food space. That, like, one was in HVAC, one was in marketing, and it was the principles that I used at Tony Roney's and how I built my business from I would say I was a child. I mean, I was a kid, but I did it for 30 years, and it was the same. It was the same. Yeah, it's the same principles. It's like, you have to have culture. And people have to believe in what you do. They have to believe in you, and then you have to have the guiding values. So there's the culture, but no one lives by it. They all like. There's a lot of big companies out there that create culture, and they have the mission statement. And they put it, in their conference room, but they don't live by it. And then they have, these meetings, and then here's our mission. But then again, they don't live by it. Like, so we live by it. If you come into our store, you're greeted within. I don't have to tell anybody. They just, as soon as you walk in, hi, how you doing? No one waits to order a slice of pizza. Nobody waits to pick up their food. It's part of what we do. It's part of our service, right? So that's what I mean by culture. When I was coaching, when I got out, when I was coaching business owners, I really did love it. But I found it more difficult to get people to understand how important this really is. And I felt like I was like trying to sell them, and I was bothering them more than showing them something that was so basic in order to build a business and where it starts at. And I really, in my blood, like, I didn't realize how much I was ingrained, I guess, but being out gives you that understanding it, is I really missed what I do. I really missed making people happy. And I make people happy with food. I make a lot of people happy every day. You know how many people walk into my store and this is what I love. They look at me and they say, thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you do. Like, they really get it. Not everyone, but there's a lot of people that say, thank you for being here and for what you do. And that means a lot, right? And the other thing that I love is that when people come into my store and when they call on the phone, they're actually excited to try my food. They're excited to eat my pizza. When they come in and order slices off our counter, because we have a huge selection every day. And we have fun doing that and creating all these new things. Man, they come in and they're like excited to eat the food. And so the legacy is about creating something that is going to make people happy for years to come. And what I'm doing now with all of my managers, the people who work with me, I'm trying to get them to learn how to do the same thing that I do, that run the business, to grow the business, to manage it with leadership, not management, but ownership. And so that they can, provide for their families, and they can open at Gentili's themselves, and we can be partners. And that's what I'm looking to do here now.
Let's talk about the differences maybe between what are you doing differently now? What did you learn from Tony Ronis that you're now doing differently in your existing business? The
I
lessons
focus
learned.
I focus on those three major things: culture, people, and systems. And I'm there a lot more. I enjoy being in this. Like before at Tony Roney's, I was managing a business versus now I'm managing a business, and I'm ensuring that the quality of the food and the service is being put out right by training my staff and being an example to them. So I think that's the major difference. I'm really patient on this one. Where I was at Tony Roney's, and when I grew again, I was a child. And when you're young, right, more is better. I have to open more stores. I have to
Yeah.
get this one. I have to get to 8. I have to get to 10. No, it's not about that. Because if you're not ready and you don't have the right people, you can open as many stores as you want or as little many stores as you want. It isn't going to work. And so now I'm being a lot more patient. I've been open for over a year. I haven't opened a store yet because I'm really focusing on growing this business with the right people and obviously a customer base before we go ahead and open up. We're looking for new locations now, but I won't open a location unless I know that I have a person that's going to be with me for a long time will be able to manage that business the way I do.
Yeah.
That's the major difference.
Community. Talk to me about the community, your involvement in the community. It's one of the ways you sort of started coming across my radar. Talk to me about community, the importance of it to you, your involvement in it. Let's talk about that.
Well, it's just that I always had that. That's something I pride myself in. I'm always there for the community, no matter what it is. Like honestly, if they call me and want gift certificates, if they're having, a cheerleading competition, I always say yes because you say no, all you're doing is number one, you're not helping people. Number two is if they know you and they're there with you and they're asking you, that means they're probably your customer. So you're saying no to a customer, which we don't do. So whatever we can do to help, it's not even it's a no-brainer. It's always yes. Now if they come in and ask for a $500 check or $1,000 check, I don't do it. I do it through food or I do it through gift cards because I always want to be there. I mean, and even even now what's happening, I was reading in pizza today, or I was reading something in one of the pizza associations, how these pizzerias are getting together in LA and sending food to, people who are homeless, who want food or to the, the first responders. And that's the first thing I think of. Like I sent money out to their campaign just because I can't be there and provide food, but think about what they're doing to help their communities. So we have to help our communities all the time. I mean, that's instilled. You say no, and I don't know. You really shouldn't be in our. You shouldn't be in our business. You got to be part of the community, and they're the ones. Listen, if the community loves you, think about how many people they're going to tell about you.
Exactly.
If they love your sandwich,
I know.
I mean, I get people to come in and brag and say, "You know how many people I told about your cheesesteak? You know how many people I told?" I get people to come in and say, "Man, you should pay this guy Joe because he tells everybody about your food." And that's what community is about. You take care of them, and they'll take care of you. And I take pride in that. I show my guys, and it's part of the community. But I show my guys whenever somebody does a review or does some kind of comment on Instagram. We get a lot. Trust me. I show them and I take pride that. It's not, they don't just talk about the food. They talk about how nice my staff is. My guys, like when kids come in and we're not crazy busy, they're giving them dough in the front. They sit at the bar and they make pizza. The little kids, those parents, like their kids are telling their parents where they want to go get pizza. They're coming back time and time. It's, I'll give you a quick story, Justin. Right? I have a guy.
I love all of it. Yes. Keep going. You're this pumping me up this morning. I needed it. Let's keep going.
I got a guy, Patrick Ray. If you see my Instagram, he's that's special. He's not only expecting me as downs, but he's very limited with it. Not limited, like not severe. Okay, he comes in, he's sitting there eating pizza, and one of my guys said, "Tony, can I have him come up and make pizza?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." He brings them back. He makes pizza. They're having fun. I'm taking a video of him, and then the woman who's there with him, her name is Dawn, and Dawn's her caregiver. She owns an agency in the area. And she's a special woman. And she said, "Tony, I want to talk to you when you get a chance. You're the owner." I said, "Yeah." And then I went over and I thought she wanted to talk to me about helping out or doing something with food. And she said, "Patrick has a question for you." And I said, "Okay, what's that?" He looks at me, he goes, "I want to work here." And I looked at him, I said, "Jesus Christ, how can I say no to that?" Right. And I hire Patrick. He works like 1 day a week, 3, 4 hours. But like to me, it was giving him an opportunity to work. But in return, I should say, the love and the joy that this kid gives me and my staff and everyone that comes in on those days that he's there is mind-boggling. Because he's still upbeat. He's funny as shit, and he makes us all laugh. He like the customers will walk in there, go Birds, go Phil. It's like he brings it out. Hey man, like he jokes around all day long. I actually break his chops a lot because I think that's why he comes, is to joke around and make people laugh. And I say, Patrick, you going to work today? He says, no. I said, Patrick, you got to work today. I don't want to work. Like, so he brings us so much love and joy. And that's because of, again, culture, where my guy, Sergio, said to him, hey, can I have him come up and make pizza? And this is how it all evolved. Now, if I said no, it would never have happened, right?
Yeah, it's a powerful story there. I like that. And that's sort of like a testimony to listening, I would say. That would be the word I would use in one word for the audience, is just as an owner, as an entrepreneur, to me, too long to figure it out. I mean, I may have been young by normal years, but 12 years into business as an entrepreneur before I figured out the listening part. Not great. And then when I did started listening, that's one thing. And the other point that you made earlier, which I want to anchor also, that I've learned myself, is growth is great.
Yeah.
Excellence is better. And most likely the team that you have, no matter how much they are, how great they are, you cannot grow without preparing them for growth. And that's going to take a lot of time. And you can't just suddenly grow your business and it's every time your business takes big leaps.
100%.
24 years in, we took a big leap as a company, and a lot of employees I had for 20 plus years, loyal employees. But when we made that leap and COVID pushed us to that limit of volume of meals in hospitals and long-term care homes, that growth, what I hadn't done is I hadn't understood that those growing periods, every time you're about to hit a growing period, you have to go and invest in your staff. 18 months, in my opinion, 18 months in the staff when you know a growth period is coming. Sometimes you don't know, but if you're expanding stores, building a franchise system or whatever, give yourself 18 months, not only for all the paperwork, but to actually train and invest in the individuals that are going to grow with the system.
100%. Yeah. And you got to be there to do that. You got to see who's reacting, how they're reacting, what they're doing. But yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because I think it is an important thing. And you did mention it earlier. I want to just note that we talked a little bit about word of mouth. And this will be my last, I'll ask two questions sort of in one here. I want to talk about marketing, advertising, how your approach to social media, your approach to marketing, advertising, because word of mouth, we already touched upon it. That's your anchor. And then how you support it, I think, is important. And then into that, you obviously had good mentors and individuals in your life or people that have helped teach you this or ways you've learned it on your own. I just want to anchor that as the last question. Like, who was it or how was it that you learned all these things? Because they're very important. Always say yes to the customer. I agree. The community is free advertising. You're going to spend it on marketing dollars anyway. Why not just give it to someone who's going to eat it and in the community and everyone sees it? It's a way better strategy, guys. So things like that. So the marketing, advertising, supporting this word of mouth system, and then the mentors for you, Anthony.
Let me back up to talk about listening real quick. And then get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
And this is just quick. Listen to yourself, listen to the truth, and listen to your team as well. Like when you build a good team, don't be like the dictator or the controller that does everything. And this is how we do it my way. I have an amazing group of customers that come in, and they come in excited to see what's on the counter every day, slices. I do that because our team inside, my pizza guys that set up the counter and make pizzas every day, and they're like literally like chefs. They put together all these different pizzas. If I was the guy that said, no, don't do that, God knows that you shut them down, that they just want to be robotic and they won't create. But I have made like these creative geniuses there by just listening and allowing them to be who they are and create. I have a pizza that has like pesto sauce and hot honey with sausage, red onions, and pepperoni on it. That I would be like, who the fuck is going to buy that? Feed my friend. But
No
but
kidding,
but
right?
but that's created by like one of my guys, and then like I'll send them ideas that I see on Instagram, like that crispy pizza in New Jersey.
Yeah.
They're famous on Instagram, and they
They
make
are
these
very
pinwheels.
famous.
Yeah, I make these pinwheels that I saw them do it, and my guys, I send them a video of this, and the next day I walk in and they're making them. Like, so they love to create and they love to make people happy too. Again, because it's part of the culture, right? So if you don't have that culture and you don't have the listening and allowing and being, then that's not going to take place inside of your operation. That has to be part of it. That has to be integrated, and they have to know that they can create. And if it works, look, you're going to make stuff yourself as the owner or chef, and people aren't going to like it. And they're going to like a lot of other things that you thought that they won't like. Right. So you have to let your people like thrive and let them create it and love it. And that's what's going to help you with that. All right. So going into marketing and where I learned and mentoring, and I never had one specific mentor, to be honest. Like I consider myself like I learned from a lot of people, and I've always had this personality of wanting to learn and get better and wanting to improve. Right. And when you have that mentality, you're going to have a lot of mentors out there, in my opinion. Like you're going to have, like I had a mentor who's not in the food business, but he was like entrepreneur coach, but he was really rooted not only in entrepreneurship, but also in spiritual growth. Yeah. So I have had pretty much like I've had several mentors in my life and in business. And one in particular was a mentor that taught me more about myself and the importance of keeping my mind, my body, and my spirit intact and strong so that I can run my business. And, you know, the one lesson he taught me is that when the ocean is calm, the waves are calm, and everything in your business revolves around you and the energy that you bring to that business. So if you're a crazy lunatic that runs around your restaurant or your business yelling at people or focuses on problems or has problems with customers, then everyone in your business is going to be the same way. If you're there with your people and you're leading by example, and again, I always talk about culture, and you're preaching your culture and living your culture, then they're all going to do the same. So another mentor that you have to really take a really hard look at is yourself. Because if you keep your mind open and you listen to a lot of people and you listen to the right people that teach you these lessons, and you're, again, I mentioned it earlier, if you're willing to actually listen without responding and make those changes, you're going to make your business better. And again, there's going to be a lot of mentors out there that are bad mentors. And they're also really good to learn from because you want to do what they don't do. You want to learn from what they're doing wrong so that you can do it right. So if your eyes and your ears and your soul is open, you're going to have a lot of mentors that teach you a lot about your business and yourself.
I think you're an incredible business owner, human mentor. What value for the individuals, the community that you bring, your businesses bring. I think it's amazing. I think it takes, experience. I think it takes the ups and downs. I think it takes away sometimes walking away from the industry that we love to find our true love for it and our purpose in it. No different than you have raising the game. Like life skills, we talked a little bit about core values earlier. All of those things, let's sort of talk about the drive, the ambition, the overall in life. We talked about the spirituality and the integrity, but I think there's a lot of core values to your existence, things that you would say that define you as an entrepreneur or as a man or as a father or whatever. So talk to me about those things that you sort of define yourself for because they bleed into your business. I can feel it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And you nailed it. Like I have core values, and I have written goals that I read not every single day, but regularly when I meditate. And those goals I have are 10 top goals in life, about my fitness, about what kind of father I am, what kind of partner I am to my wife. And I try to live by them. I mean, look, none of us are perfect, but don't be defined by what you are and be defined by who you are. And what you're talking about right now, giving back and what's important to you. And then in business, I set goals. I set current goals. I don't like set real long-term goals just because I just don't believe in it. No, a lot of people, it works for them. It just doesn't work for me. So I started trying to stay present and take my time so that I'm not chasing the wrong things. But yeah, it's really look, something else my entrepreneurial coach taught me was that if the man goes down and you're the man, then the business is going down. It might take some time. So you got to make sure you protect yourself and you got to keep yourself strong. And we're all crazy if we're in this business because this is not an easy business. And you really love what you're doing, serving people and serving food, or don't be in the business. Because if you're here to make, you need to find another industry because there's too many elements that will stop you from being happy and being successful. So my suggestion and my advice is that make sure you value yourself, your energy and your health and your mental health and motivation of why you what you're doing. So 100% that's important.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anthony, for coming on the show. Where can they find your business? Where can they find you online? Tell us all about that, your location, your address, all of those things.
100%. I appreciate it. So it's Gentili's Pizza and Steaks in Exton, PA. We are on Lincoln Highway, right next to PA. And you can find us on Instagram at Gentili's Pizza. And you can find us online at gentilispizza.com. And Gentili's is Gentilis pizza.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there anything I didn't cover today or throughout today that you felt you want to share, or anything that you want to talk about that I didn't cover?
No, the only thing I would say is that, work hard, understand that the people that work inside of your four walls, they're there as a team to help you build your dream. So treat them like family, treat them like they're your children sometimes, like they're your brother and sister sometimes. Love them, appreciate them, be an example to them, work hard with them, and you're going to get great results because you can't do this on your own. And if you want that energy to reflect in your business out to your customers, the only way to do that is making sure that you're the example to your employees who then radiate it to your customers.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you guys for listening in. Please follow, like, share the episode. Same, follow these entrepreneurs, follow their businesses. All the links are below in the show notes for you guys, their website, everything like that. So please do that. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and we're out.